Hey, you guys, welcome to the Unshakable Confidence Challenge. I'm so excited that you are here. I'm your coach, Charity Majors, and if this is your first time joining me, I help people uncover their gifts, unlock their purpose, and unleash their potential in the world to make a meaningful impact by helping them create a business and a life that they love. And you guys, I'm so excited to jump into this challenge with you, to be your guide, to bring you along this journey, and to really help you lay this foundation of unshakable confidence. So as you guys are jumping on the live, or if you're watching the replay, make sure you type in and say hello. I can't wait to see who else jumps on and who else watches the replay. But I do want to dive right on in. And so what we're going to be talking about today is kind of like getting this foundation of confidence, but also not only what confidence is, but also how it affects our lives. And we're going to kind of dissect some of where it comes from. So we've all seen that person that walks in the room and they just radiate confidence, right? We typically, when we feel confident ourselves, we can expect to anticipate success, right? If you guys are experiencing this, give some likes, comment below, let me know that this is something that is resonating with you. And most people, they equate having a level of success, ease, and assurance when it comes to that feeling of self-confidence. So this is kind of an example, like I'm confident that I can run 10 miles or I can run a mile in 10 minutes, or I'm confident, in these jeans, these jeans make my butt look good, right? It's when we watch that feeling of walking out, owning the room, radiating confidence, but there's a reason for this. And so I also want you guys to kind of think about what it looks like when you don't feel confident, right? We might kind of shrink back a little bit. We might play small a little bit. We might listen to the inner critic or that ego voice quite a bit, right? It might say that we're not good enough, smart enough, you're going to fail, they're going to reject you. It's all of these different limiting beliefs. And so what's really amazing about kind of the word confidence is that one of my favorite definitions, and it's actually rooted in a Latin word, and it comes from Latin roots, and it means with trust. I just love that, right? So how many things in our life do we not do because we either don't have trust, or we think that we're going to fail, or we don't have what it takes, or they're going to reject us, or we're not enough, right? But how many things in our life do we do or that holds us back because we don't have that trust or that foundation of that confidence, of stepping out of our comfort zone with trust, of doing the thing, creating the thing, building the thing, writing the thing, pushing live on the thing with trust, regardless of what anyone else is going to say, regardless of whatever our inner critic is going to say, regardless of any of the other stuff that's out there, regardless of what our family is going to say, right? I know so many times where sometimes we might jump into the new thing and our family doesn't necessarily understand, or our friends don't necessarily understand. And they can be some of the source of kind of the biggest resistance and the biggest pushback that we experience. Have you guys ever felt that way? I know for me, when I jumped into pageantry, some of my family didn't necessarily understand, and they didn't get it, and they didn't really care to talk about it. They didn't really care to learn about it. They didn't care to come to my competitions. And so for me, that being a part of my life for a number of years and really thriving in that world and finding a lot more about who I was and being confident in who I was, and being able to walk on stage, not only in a swimsuit, but with a group of women, and not compare myself how I used to do, and not get stuck in the limiting beliefs how I used to do. And it gave me a platform to get out my message, and it built influence, it built leadership, it allowed me to get involved in my community more, right? So it was this great place that I thrived in, but some of my family didn't understand. And so at first it hurt my feelings, well, gosh, they don't support me, they don't understand. But then one of my favorite mentors, her name is Lisa Nichols, she said that God did not give your dream to them. He gave it to you. So where you are going, there might not be room for every single person. And this also comes, again, with the knowledge and the understanding, with trust. That the foundation of the confidence that we are going to be building is actually based off of an assurance in who you are, whose you are, your mission, and where you are going. Okay? So, just to kind of make sure that we are on the same page, I'm just looking at my notes over here. To make sure that we are on the same page, let's make sure to agree to define confidence. Yes, don't you love that? With trust. And so what I like to say is it's the willingness to take steps towards valued goals, even if we don't know the outcome. Okay, the willingness to take steps towards valued goals, even if we don't know the outcome. Okay, we don't know whatever that goal is. We don't know if we're going to get there, if we're going to attain it, if we're going to meet it, if we're going to fail along the way, if we are going to fumble on our words, if we are going to suck and not even make it, if someone is going to make fun of us or reject us or whatever it might mean. The willingness, right, to take the steps toward a valued goal, even if the outcome is unknown. Okay, so now that we're going to back up a little bit. Now this is the feeling of willingness. Okay, so it's not about when we don't feel confident, when we feel like we don't have what it takes, when we feel like those limiting beliefs come in. Those things don't matter anymore. It's all about the willingness, right? So despite those things, despite those limiting beliefs, despite the fact that we might feel like we're going to fail or fumble or be rejected, right? It's the willingness. Despite those things, am I willing to take the steps needed or take the steps towards the goal, even if I don't know the outcome, right? To take that step, even if we can't see the full path. To take the step, even if we don't know how it's going to end up. It's the willingness, okay? So now that we have a better definition of confidence, I actually want to chat a little bit about where it comes from, okay? And so let's see here. I'm just going to look at my notes a little bit. So confidence comes from being grounded in your sense of self. This is being strong in remembering who you are, what you value, why you are here on this planet, and the hard work that you have come in with trust, right? So it's this mix of, let me say, I have this really fun mix of ingredients here. Oh, where did it go in my notes? I'm totally skipping around. Okay, well, here we go. Okay, yes. It's a combo of being part confidence, part courage, and a good dose of self-compassion or grace. It's kind of this ingredients, right, that we mix to have confidence. And it comes from being grounded in our sense of self and being strong, and remembering who we are. Now, this is what's really interesting to me about remembering who we are. Because when we come into this world, divinely created out of all of eternity for this exact same time in eternity, at this exact place with the exact parents that you have, with the exact grandparents that you have, with the exact great-grandparents that you have. There had to be millions and millions and millions of decisions that God, universe, creator, you fill in the blank, that had to be made for you to come together, for you to be designed, for you to be created at this exact time in space, in universe, in creation, okay? And we come into this world already knowing who we are, what we like, what we don't like, what we're about, a little bit about our personality. And, I think about my son, Judah. He's 2. And he is so happy. He is very detail oriented. He has great patience and focus, and he can just sit there and he does a puzzle, or he will put this thing together, or whatever it might mean. And I didn't teach him that. That's just been ingrained in who he is and how he came out into this world. He is a lighthearted kid. He is happy. He is outgoing. He loves people. And then there's also, yes, there's this mix of how my husband and I are and what we teach him, and then the beliefs that are founded, that how my husband and I treat each other, how I treat, Judah, how we interact with him, how we interact with others around us, right? So it's this nature and nurture. And so it's really amazing about us as human beings is that 80% of the foundation of who we are, what we believe is available to the world around us, the beliefs that we have, 80% of that is subconsciously ingrained in us by the time we are 7. Right? And this comes from, like my son, he is figuring out the world around him based off of how I interact, what I show him, where I bring him, what I teach him, how my husband and I interact, how I handle stress, how I handle situations, what I'm talking about, the beliefs about money, what I'm saying about myself, how I'm treating myself, right? There's this really amazing saying that a sweet grandma at my church shared with me when I was pregnant. She said, more is taught than caught. Or more is caught than taught. So more so than the words that I say, my son is picking up on my actions, right? If we're eating healthy, if we treat each other with love, if we handle stress, how we talk to each other, how we show up in the world, how we interact with people. Am I saying hi to those that are walking by me? Am I not? Am I kind of shrinking back and am I hiding in sweatpants all day, right? All of this different stuff. This is laying the foundation, and we all have this. We all have this 80% of foundation of who we are, what we believe, and what we think is available to us. 80% of that is subconsciously ingrained in us by the time we are 7. And here's also the interesting part, is that we typically replay the lessons from our life between the ages of 0 to 7. It's those limiting beliefs that we pick up. It's those beliefs about money. It's the foundation of who we are, what we believe is available to us, what we should be, how we should show up in the world, how we interact with people. If I have what it takes, if I don't have what it takes, if I belong, if I don't belong, if I'm a failure, if I'm rejected, if I'm fat, if I'm whatever it might be. We typically replay these things from ages 0 to 7. And then there'll be those repeating lessons that show up in our life. Okay? So the different things that can lead to being unsure of ourselves are things like trauma. So whether it is physical, mental, spiritual, emotional trauma, parenting styles, so the way that you were treated in your family, the way that your parents or your caregivers treated each other, bullying, harassment, humiliation, if we were picked on in school, even whether it was when we were younger or even now as an adult, and that can include online, right? Online bullying is a big thing. And this can even get into gender, race, and sexual orientation. And these things can really lead to a deeper sense of self, that we feel like we don't belong. Okay? And so these different lessons, like I was saying, they're ingrained in our subconscious by the time we are 7. And that is then the foundation and the springboard of how we interact with the world, the thoughts that we hear that then create the actions that then create the beliefs and the thoughts and the actions that then create our habits that then create our life. Okay? So now that you kind of understand some of this stuff, I have a little bit of homework for you. I will post a worksheet titled Day 1 that you can print out and go through some of the questions and kind of get some pen to paper. And then on the back of your worksheet, I actually want you to, so remember the whole basis of this challenge is that we're talking about, right, like HGTV, like remodel, flip or flop. We've got the beginning of the house where, it might be this old house that we need to kind of take out some pipes. We kind of need to repaint some stuff. We might need to take out a wall to open it up. We need to change the cabinets. We might need to kind of fix some cracks in the foundation, right? To then we do some of the work, and then we have this grand reveal of this amazing, beautiful new house, right? So this is a really fun exercise, and this is going to help you guys start to understand those limiting beliefs, and where they not only come from, but how they stack up in your life. So you're going to take a piece of paper and draw a little house. It doesn't have to be pretty, it doesn't have to be artsy, but what we're going to do is start to fill in this house. So this is kind of the foundation of those limiting beliefs, and where they are coming from and the instances that they come from. So what you're going to do is you're going to kind of start at the beginning, and there might be something from your childhood, and we're just going to fill in this house. You can make it crafty, you can make it sloppy, you could do it with a pen and paper. You can, if you want a scrapbook and make it as creative as you want, go for it. You can do this however you want. But we're going to fill in this house, and so there might be something, okay, age. So for me, I remember age 5, when I wanted to go play with I moved to a new school and had gone to go ask some girls if I could go play with them on the playground during recess, and they said no. And so I all of a sudden stacked this little crack in the foundation, or laid this bad pipe or this bad floor in my house at the age of 5, that I didn't belong, or that girls didn't like me, that I didn't have what it took. And so it can be, so this is kind of your trauma house, or your limiting beliefs house, okay? And so that's where one of those limiting beliefs for me came in. And it can be big or little. In my book I talk about this, right? It can be, sometimes it can just be a little bit of a pipe, right? But a break in that pipe, it can still flood the house, right? Or maybe it's like the entire foundation. Maybe there was a huge trauma that really affected you and what you believe about the world and how people should treat you, or something was taken from you. So it can be whatever experience that you go back into your past and say, okay, and it's typically going to be an emotional experience. And this is what's really amazing about our emotions, is that we will attach those limiting beliefs to the foundation of who we are because of an emotional experience. Okay, so kind of go back and look at those experiences in your life. So when I was 5, I felt like I didn't belong. There might be something, here when I was, and it might be the same lesson repeating over and over again, right? So then in high school, the boys told me that I was intimidating. I was tall, I was athletic, I was smart, I was all state, all nation in volleyball. I was confident on the outside, right, because I was tall. But the guys told me I was intimidating, and so as a high school girl, I didn't get asked to homecoming, I didn't get asked to prom, and so I felt rejected, so when I was 16. So then maybe there's something else in your life that happens that, okay, all of a sudden I'm filling it in over here. This happened, whatever, at age 24, and there might be a bunch of them here. You might have, it's 3, 4, there might be more here, or as you get, it just, however you are. So then however old you are, I'm 30, how old am I? I'm 35. So then this is where I'm just going to fill it in, okay? Right, so last year, when at 34, I had a miscarriage and felt shame and felt like I was broken and didn't feel like I had what it took to keep my baby safe. Okay? And so, right, so now I'm filling this in. So you're just going to fill in your house with whatever these beliefs are. And so we're just going to kind of fill this in and just have a visual idea of what has happened that has caused the foundation of those limiting beliefs, of those traumas, of those things that say that you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, pretty enough, tall enough, short enough, thin enough, fat enough, well-spoken enough, you don't have what it takes, you're going to fail, you're going to be rejected, whatever it might be. And then, so you're going to do your house exercise, and And then I'm going to post a little worksheet for you to kind of just write down some questions. And some of it's about those limiting beliefs, and then some of it is about what confidence looks like to you. And then there's a question at the end that will allow you to just kind of dream and just grow and just kind of start to expand your imagination. So as you guys go through this, I want to see the questions that you're answering in your worksheet if you would like to share. So feel free to either snap a picture of it after you print it out, or if you're just going to write in a journal, you can totally do that as well. And then do your house. You can share that or not, whatever you are comfortable with. But this is where we start to, again, we're evaluating the design, right? Figuring out what pipes need to be replaced. We're figuring out where the cracks in the foundation are. And then as we go through this challenge, we're going to be working on taking those pipes out, changing the paint color here, knocking down this wall, so that we can process through these limiting beliefs and then start to rebuild on that foundation. So part 1, evaluating the design. Okay, so dive in a little bit, take some time, do your house exercise, answer the questions that are on the worksheet that I will post that says day 1, and then I want to hear about it. Share. This is a safe place for you guys to share what you are doing, what you're going through, and this is just a safe place for you in this group. And so, yeah, that's what I have for you guys today. So we're evaluating the design, figuring out where those things come from. And then we're going to kind of uproot those things and get into the remodel in a couple days. So, all right, you guys, have a great first day of your challenge. Make sure to introduce yourself in the group if you haven't done so. And let's get this thing going. All right, you guys, talk to you soon.